What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie to 988 coming at you live once again. I got some great stories for you this week about my trip to LA for a commercial shoot. But in case you don't want to stick around for the whole video, even if you only make it through part of the way, I want to tell you one thing. If I can do what I did this weekend, and you'll hear all the trials and tribulations that I went through, but if I can do what I did this weekend, you, sir or madam, can do anything. You can achieve literally anything. Pick something that's important to you. Pick something you want. Set that as a goal. And if I can pull this off against the odds, sky's the limit. So just remember that. So I get an email a few weeks back asking me to license them my Xbox Smash video for a commercial, which I'm glad to do. The fee is reasonable, and so we get in a negotiation. And last Friday night, I get a phone call. I'm at Magic the Gathering with my friends. I get a phone call and they said, "Can you be in LA tomorrow morning? If we fly you out, can you be there?" And I'll tell you a secret. This isn't the first time I've been asked to come to LA. I've been asked a couple of times, and most of the time the answer has been no. I can't make it there. We'd have to film it in my home. We'd have to do those kinds of things. And because of that, I've missed out on some great opportunities. But because I've lost so much weight in the past year, because I've gotten in relatively better health, I figure let's go for it. You know, this is the shot that I've got. I explained to them that I'm going to need my fiance as a handler, basically. She's going to walk me through it, and thank God they agreed, and we got on a plane to go to LA. And I'll tell you, I was afraid to fly, like absolutely afraid to fly, because I have the lymphedema and I'm double-sized, and I don't know if I can walk through these giant airports. I know we're routed through Dallas, which is the largest airport, I think. Someone told me it was the size of Manhattan. And I knew I was going to need help, physical assistance, because I couldn't walk all that way. I couldn't do all those things that were necessary. But I was assured by the folks of the commercial that once I got there, it'd be a nice, relaxing time. I wouldn't have to work that hard. That turned out not to be entirely accurate. But I go to wardrobe on the second day, and I meet all these fantastic people. And I want to show you, I put a little compilation clip of just some of the people that I got to meet that day. Of course, I got to meet Kara, the Eharmony catgirl, the crazy cat lady. I get to meet a politician by the name of Phil Davidson, who did a ranting, raving speech, even landed him on Tosh.0. I got to meet James Wilkie, the angry golfer. I got to meet the Atlanta Braves coach, Phil, who completely went AWOL in the middle of a game. And I got to meet the sad, sparkly nails girl, the Packers fan. More importantly, I think, than almost all of these people is a gentleman by the name of Bob here. And I can't wait to tell you what Bob had to say to me. So in one night, we have just a few hours to explore LA, about 3 hours total. And we managed to rent a car in that period of time, drive down to see the Hollywood sign, see the Walk of Fame, managed to get out to Santa Monica Pier for just 30 minutes, just to see a little bit of the city. It was my first time seeing LA, which was fantastic, but it was my fiance's first time as well, and it was nice getting to see it through her eyes. It really adds an extra element because she's so excitable and adorable when she is. So the next morning we start the shoot, and it's like 6:15 in the morning. It's pitch black. It's 34 degrees. We're in the mountains of Thousand Oaks, and wind is just whipping by. We have to wear the same clothes that we wore in our original video, which means for me a black t-shirt and a black pair of thin pants and some tennis shoes. For poor Kara, it was her tank top and her pajama bottoms and a pair of slippers. And when we get to the set, I find out what we're going to do. And I can't give you a lot of details yet. I will later if I can, but we're forced to march up and down this hill over and over and over again. And this is not an easy hill either. It's got these giant tufts of grass with these gaping holes and gopher holes and snake holes and just these sticks sticking up out of it. And it's just painful. It's just painful. And I'm not ready to carry my 300 extra pounds up and down a hill all day. And I'm not ready to walk on this crazy uneven ground. And my body immediately tells me no, and I immediately tell it, yes, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I get wore out very, very quickly, but I keep pushing and keep pushing, hour 2, hour 3, hour 4, doing everything I can to make it work and give them something that they can work with. Because, I mean, after all this time and all this effort to get out there and to do this, I've got to be in this commercial, you know. If they've spent a lot of money to put me on set, I have to perform. And one of the worst things that could ever happen to a fat guy happened. I broke a chair. Now, they had these little flimsy 250-pound weight limit chairs, and I'm sitting in one in between takes. And I had an assistant who was, later in the day when the assistant was too busy, a wonderful actress by the name of Hira, who's done voiceovers for Miss Pandera. I believe her name is Hira, and if I'm getting your name wrong, I'm so sorry. Miss Pandera, End of Nations, other great games, as well as done some television acting and other things. She was actually the one that was helping me get the chair in and out. If it wasn't for her, I couldn't have performed for the last half of that day. Thank God for her. But this chair, mid-morning, disintegrates underneath me. And I hit the ground, and I land on my back, and I'm staring at the sky, and I close my eyes, mortified, just completely mortified. Because we're on the set with we six, internet guys and a handful of like actors played to portray some cliches from the internet, and then 100 extras, and then 50 cameramen and set people, directors. And no one laughed. Not a single person laughed. Not a single person made a joke. Nothing. And when I opened my eyes again, here to my left was Phil Davidson, the angry politician. My right, Wilkie. To the left behind me, Bob, another actor who was playing a weatherman that day, who's even in Gangster Squad. He's to my right. Kara, I believe, is at my feet. And somebody says to me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Can we get you up? Yeah. And they, without even really having to expend much effort on myself, those people picked me up and stood me up. And before I knew it, a chair was underneath me. And no one made fun of me. No one joked. And maybe someone told the story later when they got home, and that's okay. I'm glad they have a story to tell. But in that moment, in that brief moment, everyone there was kind. And it's funny because when you do what I do for a living, when you act the way I act and you look the way I look and you put yourself out there the way I do, you get a lot of negative criticism. You get a lot of hate-filled comments. And you begin to think that people are cruel, that people are mean. And the loud voices of the angry, people who just hate you start to drown out the nice ones. And that's sad. Because the reality of it is people are nice. Especially that 150 people right there in that moment of time. So when we're walking off a set for the moment, and they're getting ready to set up the next scene, Bob puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Do you have any idea how much you're inspiring people today?" And I said, "No, sir." And he says, "Well, this is a hard shoot. It's cold and a lot of us are miserable. But we know if you can do it, and you've got a much harder time than the rest of us do, if you can do it, then the rest of us can do it." And man, that made my day. It made me push myself harder than I'd ever pushed myself and work as hard as I could to make this happen. Because not only are all these people counting on me, not only if I'm screwing up for another 150 people, but if the thought that somebody could actually be inspired by seeing the amount of pain I was in and my willingness to push through it. Bob and I talked off and on the rest of the day, and we waxed philosophical, and I think he taught me a lot of good things. And I wish it lived closer. I wish I could hang out with this guy because he was phenomenal. He meant the world to me. And everyone was nice about it. No one even made any mention of it. Some people just wanted to make sure I was okay. Kara, Wilkie, Phil, just phenomenal reaction. And by the end of the day, I was on pain medications and muscle relaxers based on the set EMT, hooking me up and making sure I was okay, getting plenty of potassium and water in me so my muscles keep working. And by the end of the day, I had destroyed my body. Absolutely destroyed it. And the next morning, I have to get on a plane. And if you had seen me in the airport on that day, you would have thought I was near death, because I think I might have been. My legs wouldn't work. My back was in pain. My knee was in pain. The muscles in my thighs had given up entirely. It was only by sheer willpower that I could get in and out of a plane. And I even had to use wheelchair access in a couple of places because Dallas is just too damn big. And it wasn't for my fiance, who carried me through the trip there and back. I couldn't have done it at all. But it was more than I ever thought that I could do. It was more than I ever thought I would do. And if I can pull that off, if I can achieve that, if I can do that, and you'll see that commercial very soon, I hope, and I hope I make the final cut. If and when you see that and you see me on the screen, I hope you can see it and think to yourself, that exactly what Bob said. Life is hard, man. It's not ever easy. It's very rarely easy, maybe for a few people. But life can be really, really hard. If I can do this, I know you can. Because you're better than me, you're stronger than me, you're a better person. And that's what I learned in LA. You know, a lot of people say that place is empty or weird or dead or, but everyone there was the nicest person I ever met. And that actually makes me really, really sad to know that the next time I talk to some of these people, it's only going to be on the internet. I wish we could hang out. But next time I'm in LA, right? Anyway, thanks for listening to this. I hope maybe I could teach you a little something. I hope maybe you feel a little bit better about yourself. I wish I felt a little bit better because I'm going to go back to sleep for another 12 hours. I'll talk to you soon.